The following program is underwritten by the generous support of Associates of Glens Falls and Loomis and Lipan Insurance. Since 1852, they have been assisting both businesses and individuals across the country secure the most comprehensive insurance products available. Associates of Glens Falls is proud to partner with Central Insurance Companies. Public affairs programming on Look TV is underwritten by the generous support of Pinnell's Restaurant, classic Italian-American food since 1922, and Stored Tech, technology solutions for computers, networks, and phone. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
1922, Babe Ruth debuts with the Yankees. WGY signs on air. Exterminator wins the Saratoga Cup, and Pinnell's Restaurant opens its doors for the very first time. For 5 generations, Pinnell's has been preparing delicious Italian food, served in a comfortable, home-like setting where everyone is welcomed. 90 years of authentic Italian recipes, 90 years of the freshest ingredients, and 90 years of the finest classic Italian dishes, all made daily by hand. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga dining tradition since 1922.
Most cybersecurity firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show they understand the basics.
Technology solutions for computers, networks, and phones. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
Well, welcome everybody. It is a Town of Queensbury Town Board meeting. It's a regular Town Board meeting, and the date is November 1st, 2021. It's a Monday. Time is 7 p.m. And before we begin the regular agenda items, would you all please rise and join Councilperson George Brown in saying the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, George. Thank you, everybody. All right, the first item we have before us is, and you want to announce that, Karen, please?
It's a public hearing for the annual town budget for 2022.
Okay, and part of the budget hearing is for me to share with you the salaries of elected officials. Okay, the town supervisor is $67,276, and it's been that way, I don't know, 15 years?
16 years now.
Yeah, never changed. Won't change this time either. I'm on here. Councilperson, $18,000 a year. That also has not changed in a long, long time, and that will remain the same. However, the next 3 positions all got a 2.5% increase. Town clerk at $79,385. The town highway superintendent at $80,245. And the 2 town justices would receive $55,798 each. So let's get on to the meat and potatoes of this budget. And also, I have my budget officer, Barbara Tierney, sitting at the other end. So largely, day-to-day operations of our budget and putting together this budget was her effort. So if there's something you like, I'll take credit for it. If something you don't like, speak to Barbara. Only kidding. All right, so here is the preliminary or proposed budget for 2022. Our budget, the town budget, includes townwide general operations, and I will go through each one of these and explain them as we go forward. Emergency services, lighting districts, wastewater districts, water districts, and other districts. We have aquatic protection districts and wastewater disposal districts. Townwide general operations. I compare 2021 with 2022. General fund appropriations, as you see, is going up a little bit. It was $14,052,358. And we're proposing a $14,849,066 budget. Cemetery fund is up a little bit. Highway fund is also up a little bit. Solid waste fund is up pretty good. Town general operation totals up a little bit. Up $964,958 or about 5%.
John should remember me 2022, not 2020.
Yeah.
2022. Yeah, there's one I changed, missed there. Yeah, it should be 2022. Thank you, Tony. So the increase is due because we have additional employees. We are getting ready for some succession movements. We have a lot of people who are aging out and getting ready to retire, and we want to make sure that the town runs smoothly. So we've started to hire new people to provide a smooth succession from those taking over for those retiring. But yeah, you know, your 2.5% salary increase, which is what we gave union and non-union this year. So all those increases led to about a 5%, 4.97% increase. As you can see, it's not going to be so bad for the average taxpayer, and I'll explain that in a minute. The tax rate is going to remain about 52 cents a thousand. Okay, and that hasn't changed in a while, and it won't change this year. That's the tax rate. I'm going to be honest with you, the taxes will go up a little bit because your house values went up, and I'll explain that shortly. All right, so the money that you pay, and if you look down below first, the average house in 2022 has increased in value to about $290,000 in the town of Queensbury. It was last year and the year before about $274,000. So what do you pay if you have an average house? You pay about $151.09. That is about $8.34 more than last year, considering that your house got an increase in value. Not all houses did. Some houses actually went down in value, in assessment, I should say, not value. But in any event, the difference between $142.75 last year and $151.09 for this year is $8.34. Now, so what does your $151 pay for? Your assessor and all the assessment, accounting, animal control, building and codes enforcement, building and grounds maintenance, your cemetery, your community development, which includes planning, zoning, and enforcement of the above, fire marshal, highway administration and maintenance. That means your snow plowing, your paving, your stormwater controls, all of that. Your information and technology and running the town in terms of IT, your park and recreation, your town clerk's office, which includes licensing, receiver of taxes, records maintenance, and so forth. Town council, town court, your town supervisor and board, your transfer stations. That's what's covered by your $151. Not bad. Emergency services. Fire is up about $26,000 to a total of $3,046,000. That's up a little bit less than 1%, almost 0.9%, 0.86 to be precise. EMS. Now this is a little bit because workman comp had a fairly good reduction this year. The totals for EMS will be a little bit less, down 48,000. But if I would like to draw your attention to the box to the lower right. The contract rates from 2019 to 2022, fire is up 5.23%, EMS is up 12.5%. Over the last 3 years, EMS has gone up significantly. But I'd like to prepare you for what's coming. The EMS world is going to go up a whole lot more in the very near future. The reason is the volunteerism isn't there anymore, not like it used to be. It's still there, but not like it used to be. And we're very thankful for those volunteers, both in fire and EMS, for their volunteer services. They put in a lot of time, but a lot of younger people don't have that time to put in. And it includes a lot of training. And young people just don't have that kind of time. We are attracting some young people, but more and more and more EMS services, which is your ambulance service, is requiring paid workers. Now, we're going to have a big discussion on this EMS matter as we move forward, and a lot more money will be required to provide you with a good ambulance service in the town of Queensbury. It's going to be costly, but we're not alone. And we are providing good service at a fairly decent rate. There are a lot of towns, especially north of us, that just can't get the personnel to get the ambulances out the door. We're doing that to some extent. We have Mutual Aid, we have Glens Falls, we have Lake George, we have other services that we do mutual aid with, and we provide them with services too. But that's going to change in the near future. All right, so tax rate changes. Tax rate for fire went down 4.9% for 2022. At least that's what we're proposing. EMS, down 4.4% at this time. But, you know, like I said, the EMS world is going to change. On your right-hand side is more of a summary. So total amount to be raised by taxes for 2022 is only a little bit more than 2021 when you look at the entire picture here. So it's going to go from $3,998,900,000 to $4,001,700. Lighting districts, not much of a change, down about $3,600, down about 2.45%. In our lighting distance, we have Fort Amherst, Cloverdale, Pinewood, South Queensbury, West Queensbury, and Queensbury lighting districts. Wastewater districts, we consolidated this year. We had a public hearing about it, and we consolidated our sanitary sewer district into the Queensbury Consolidated Sanitary Sewer District, and I'll get into that in more detail. Still separate and not consolidated are Reservoir Park and South Queensbury, Queensbury Avenue wastewater district. So 2022 is a little bit lower than 2021, down about 2.9% overall for the wastewater districts. So let me explain the consolidation. So we consolidated wastewater. In other words, we put Route 9 district, the West Queensbury Consolidated Sanitary Sewer District, the Technical Park Sewer District, Pershing Ashley Coolidge Sewer District into the Queensbury Consolidated Sanitary Sewer District. What are the reasons? The reasons why we consolidated wastewater districts like we did is to give greater operating efficiencies, a more equitable distribution of fiscal responsibilities, better service to the public served by each district, and generate cost savings in the long run by avoiding duplication in administrative services. Water districts. Water districts are up a little bit, about $447,860, or up about 10%. We have 3 water districts: Queensbury Consolidated, Queensbury Consolidated Exempt, and Shore Colony. And if you compare the price that you pay for water in the town of Queensbury to other municipalities similar to our size, you will see that you get quite a deal. Rates, basically, I think our water superintendent was saying that we pay the equivalent of what we paid in 1991. All right, our other districts, we have Aquatic Protection and Wastewater Disposal District. Glen Lake and Lake Sunnyside are aquatic control management districts, and North Queensbury Wastewater Disposal District is a wastewater disposal district. The amounts they pay, Glen Lake decided they wanted a little bit of a cut in what they were contributing because they didn't need it. Lake Sunnyside and North Queensbury Wastewater remain the same. So let's take a look at grand totals. 2022 is higher than 2021. Total appropriations, $33,205,394, is up $1,307,770. All right, our non-tax revenues, we're estimating it being $20,719,208. Appropriated from fund balance, $819,002. Amount to be raised by taxes, $7,480,326. Amount to be raised by taxes in 2022 is a little bit higher, $7,627,234, up 1.96%. We are below the 2% tax cap. All right, the Office of the New York State Comptroller evaluated the town of Queensbury. In terms of fiscal stress, we were 3.3 out of 100. The lower, the better. The higher, the worse. You'll see many communities in New York State that are in the 50s, 60s, even the 80s. They are not in fiscally good shape. Queensbury is. All right, what do they take a look at to analyze our fiscal situation here in Queensbury? They look at year-end balances, operating deficits and surpluses, cash position, use the short-term cash flow, and debt issuance and fixed costs. In other words, they say that Queensbury is in very good shape at a score level of 3.3. Take a look at the environmental stress. 10. Now that's out of 100. Higher, the worse you are. The lower, the better you are. 10 is very good. What do they take a look at? This provides insight about our economic and demographic forces. Change of population. As you know, Queensbury is growing. Households with public assistance. Percent of population under 18 and over 65. A change in home value. Median household income. Reliance on state and federal aid. We're looked at as being very strong, very steady. Now, to complement what the New York State Comptroller is saying about the finances in Queensbury, we have the 2020 audit. So the audit is an audit of the town's governmental and business type activities. Each major fund and related notes to the financial statements in a statement that comes out and it assesses the town as it was December 31st, 2020. So the auditor's opinion, the town's financial statements are in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the USA and standards applicable to financial audits contained in the government auditing standards. Our internal controls are appropriate. Town's fund balances are in accordance with the fund balance policy and allow the town to be nimble in times of fiscal uncertainty. Continuing investment in the town's infrastructure, maintaining, even adding to the value of the town infrastructure by using fund balance and avoiding debt for future generations. And our revenue decline of 1.5% offset by expenditure decline of 2%. That's the small effect that we felt from COVID. That's actually pretty good. That shows that we are tried and true and steady. All right, the takeaway. Some of it I've already given you. Clean opinions on financial statements, clean opinions on internal controls. That's good. No management letter items, instances of material weaknesses or significant deficiencies. That's good. Full GAAP financial statements, significant effort to comply. Nothing negative to report to those charged with governance, the journal entries, cooperation, etc., and a concerted effort of the town auditors and staff to produce full GAAP financials as required. So that's the overall picture for our 2022 budget. We are having a public hearing on this tonight, and so we welcome public thoughts and comments. Is there anybody who would like to speak to the town board about the proposed budget for 2022? Well, while you're thinking, any thoughts or comments from the town board on our proposed 2022 budget?
Yeah, I do. If I may, I beat you out. Sorry, Arizona. I've talked to Barbara. I'm glad you're here tonight. Thank you for joining us. And some of the other town board members about the need for an additional EMS crew. We've talked about positioning it in West Glens Falls. I would not be, I think that's where we all know that's where the majority of calls are coming from. But if we want to put it someplace else, I could support that. But my numbers and talking with different members of the community call for an additional $352,000 that would support an ALS and BLS 24/7, 365 days a week. When I look at the numbers you provided, Supervisor Stroud, that's 1% plus or minus the total appropriations, or a little bit less than 2% of general ops. $352,000 for a budget of $30 million. I don't think is that much. What we get from that is the safety and care of our constituents. And as I understand the process that's been explained to me, we still have time between the formal adoption of the board to be able to make this happen. I would hope that and this is not the day before election discussion. We've been talking about this all along. And for the record, I'm running another poll, so this has nothing to do with that. This is the time to change the budget so we can get in 2022 the quick fix of an additional crew as we work to what John has expressed, the talking with the public about how we need to make major changes for the following year for a long-term contract that will provide for the care and well-being of the community, but also provide for the care and well-being fair of the people providing the service. This 352, it does not talk to any additional benefits or whatever. It keeps going what's going today for our EMS personnel. I just think that between now and our final adoption, I would hope we could all work together and come up with $352,000 to support one more crew.
Well, actually, it's going to be more than that, Tim. It's probably going to be close to $500,000. But I am not going to put anything in front of the taxpayers unless I have a very specific plan. Now, we have professionals helping us to evaluate the EMS situation and to come up with some suggestions. We know that remedies will be expensive. But I would not ask the taxpayers for more money unless I had a plan to present with them. I had a public hearing to get their feelings on the topic and to try and explain the problems involved. So that's why this budget doesn't address that. Now, once we have a plan, then we will look for the money to try and address that plan. But right now, we don't have the plan.
Well, we do, as far as I'm concerned. For three, and I talked with Barbara today. She thought the number would be higher too. But in talking with West Glens Falls today, they thought 352, and that's an ALS and a BLS. If we decided to go with two BLSs as opposed to an ALS, that would drop the requirement for that.
Well,
we do have the fund balance that Barbara's trained me several times on Budget 101 and the fund balance. I know we need the money in fund balance to cover bills for the first 3 quarters of the month. And then as taxes come in, we can keep that money for other purposes. We've decided as a town board that we would keep a fund balance, I'm not going to say fairly high, the numbers that we have now so we can meet our needs. I am just putting out for public thought and discussion that 1% of the budget, $352,000, can be found without breaking a cap this year or without raising taxes for our constituents.
Well,
and we could bring it up at a town board at a workshop, John. I want to get that out there now in front of my fellow board members that I think this is important and I think we can do it.
Well, I think we all agree with you that it's important. And West Glens Falls does need an additional crew. But that crew, besides their hourly amounts, the crews today are expecting some kind of benefits, healthcare, paid time off. Plus you have Bay Ridge and North Queensbury. They're trying to work together on providing some solutions that will cost money. But neither West Glens Falls nor Bay Ridge nor North is ready right now with a fixed plan that we could provide to the taxpayers to ask for this kind of money. Not at this time. I agree with you. There's going to be money involved, and I told the public, it's going to be sizable money to fix the problem. But at this time, we don't have a comprehensive plan. We will, perhaps, in the next couple of months, and then we will look at funding that. But we don't need to do that at this time.
Well, there has been discussions about possibly some additional funding that
Is your mic on?
my mic is on.
Okay.
Maybe I'm not speaking loud enough. That we might have the wherewithal in our budget to provide some additional funding to the squads as a stopgap between now and the ultimate solution, which would require additional tax funding. But I think that doesn't affect the budget at hand, and we can go ahead and approve this. But I would hope that between the discussion with you and Barbara, that we have that opportunity to look at the budget and maybe put together that additional funding.
Oh, that's right, George.
Yeah.
That's accurate.
Thank you, Jim.
All right. Well, thank you, Tim. All right, back to the public. Any thoughts, comments? Any additional thoughts or comments from the board before we go ahead?
I just want to reiterate my admiration and thanks to Barbara and her team for the exquisite amount of attention to detail that's represented in our budget.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. All right. Well, I will entertain a motion to adopt the annual town budget for 2022. Oh, I'll close the public hearing. Thank you, Karen. You're very good at that.
Also,
All right. Motion made by Councilperson Freer, seconded by Councilperson From. A roll call vote on the budget, please, Karen.
Councilperson Medavere?
Yes.
Freer?
yes.
Brown?
Yes.
McNulty?
Abstain.
And Straub?
Yes. All right, well, the budget passes. Very good for 2022. And like the discussion that was brought up by me, by Tim, by others, is that EMS is we're going to have to work on that one. All right, thanks, everybody. Now we have some Board of Health. items. So, we have 5 items. And is there a motion to go on the Queensbury Board of Health?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Ferrone, seconded by Councilperson Freer. All those in favor of moving into the Queensbury Board of Health, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, we're in the Queensbury Board of Health, and the first item, please, Karen.
Public hearing sewage disposal variance application of Mike and Laura Lyden.
Yeah, hi, my name's Lou DeRitter. I'm here representing Mike and Laura. We were asking for, well, first of all, I've been hired by them to design and then ultimately install a replacement leach shield on the place on 3,000 Lane. We are asking for a waiver on the well separation. We, given the site constraints, 100-foot separation is unattainable. The proposed design by Kevin Hastings has 75-foot separation. To mitigate this problem, we have proposed the use of a UV light on the water source and the use of an Elton system, which adds to secondary treatment of the effluent water.
Okay, and Lou, this is for 3 Tuttle Lane.
Correct.
And so if you would please change the application which says 3 Tuttle Drive to 3 Tuttle Lane. It's in 2 places.
That was my error.
Okay.
GPS called it drive.
All right, well,
Further
it's a small correction. And you'll see it in 2 places. You'll see it in the first whereas in the last line, and you'll see it in the second to last line in the first result. Okay. So, you're only asking that of 25 feet of variance from the code of 100 feet from the well. And we were on site today and we noticed that the well is upland from the proposed infiltration bed, significantly lower.
Correct.
Water table generally flows to the lake, but for added assurance, you're putting an ultraviolet system on the water system. Okay. Before I open the public hearing on this, any town board thoughts or questions from those?
Just to reinforce, John, what you said, it's a variance, not a waiver. But Lou, I know this is your first time with us, and you didn't get a chance to see, but yeah, we're discussing a variance.
Okay. Go to the public hearing. All right. Let me open the public hearing. Lou, you can stay there. If there's somebody who wants to speak, I'll ask you to sit down, but then probably return to answer any questions or concerns they may have. Is there any other member of the public that wishes to speak for this application from Mike and Laura Lyden for their sanitary sewage disposal variance for the residents at 3 Tuttle Lane? Seeing none, if there's no more further comment from the town board, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing. Thank you, Karen. That's your good job. All right. So, motion to be moved by Councilperson Medevere, seconded by Councilperson Freer. Roll call vote on this, please, Karen.
Councilperson Ferrone,
Yes.
McNulty,
Yes.
Ralph,
Yes.
Medevere, Freer.
Yes.
Good luck. Yeah, good first time, too.
Probably more.
Okay.
You might want to stick around and listen to the rest of us.
Fair enough.
All right, the next item, please, Karen.
Sure, public hearing sewage disposal variance application of James Kennedy.
All right, is there an agent? Okay. Tom Hudson's engineer. All right, so this is a Glen Lake place, 34 Macy Road, a residence owned by James Kennedy. Tom Hutchins did the engineering. They are asking for 3 variances. One, that the enhanced treatment unit effluent absorption field to be 54 feet from the well instead of the 100-foot setback. Second variance, the ETU, or the enhanced treatment unit, will be 40 foot from the well instead of the required 50-foot setback. And the pump station to be 40 foot from the well instead of the required 50-foot setback. So, Tom, if just identify yourself for the record, and then if you wish to add further details to what I've just said, you're welcome to do so.
Sure. Good evening, board. My name is Tom Hutchins, Hutchins Engineering, Queensbury. Briefly, this is 34 Nacy Road. It's a 2-bedroom residence. It is involved in a property transfer, and this system needs to be replaced. It's older, antiquated. It hasn't truly failed at this point, but it needs to be replaced. The water supply well is in a difficult location. The site is somewhat constricted by steep slopes, and the water supply well is in a location where it's not feasible to get the separations for a conventional or enhanced any absorption field. What we're proposing is an aerobic enhanced treatment unit. There would be a Fuji Clean Model CE5. That's a 500-gallon a day unit. And following that would be an effluent pump station to absorption field, which would be located 54 feet from the water supply well. And as in the last application, we're proposing a ultraviolet disinfection system to be installed on the residence water supply.
So, Tom, you said the ETU is going to be what make and model?
It would be a Fuji Clean CE5, pardon me.
Okay, thank you. Town board thoughts before I open the public hearing?
Yeah, we had a good look as a ground. He explained it very well, so.
All right. Is there any I'll open the public hearing. Is there any member of the public that wishes to speak to James Kennedy's application for sanitary sewage disposal variance for 34 Nacy Road in the manner that I described earlier? Seeing no interest on behalf of the public, town board? Motion?
Nope.
Close the public hearing. Motion to approve. Motion made by Councilperson Medevere. Seconded by Councilperson Ferone. Roll call vote on this, please.
Councilperson McNulty?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Medevere?
Yes.
Frere?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Okay. Tom, I guess you might as well stay right there. Okay, 2.3, please, Karen.
Public hearing sewage disposal variance application of Lambert's Landing LLC.
All right, Lambert's Landing is the very point of the tip of Cleverdale. It's the end of Rockhurst Road. Tom Hutchins, who's here tonight, was also the engineer that designed this system. The three variances that are being requested for this septic proposal. One, the absorption field to be 57 feet from Lake George instead of the required 100-foot setback. Because it's a peninsula, it has to get a variance from both sides for the absorption field. The absorption field will be 59 feet from Lake George on the west side instead of the required 100-foot setback. And grinder pump to be 25 foot from Lake George instead of the required 50-foot setback. And this is for property at 117 Rockhurst Road. And it will also consist of pre-treatment, enhanced treatment, advanced treatment, different terms, mean the same thing. In this case, you're proposing a Fuji Clean Sun 7. And that does a primary and even secondary treatment of the wastewater effluent.
They all do secondary. All the NSF4s do a secondary. This one has a little bit into the tertiary zone.
Yeah, actually, this one does a very good job. Any remaining solids in the remaining treatment gets sent back to be retreated. It seems to analyze all that. I did my homework on this system. So we have it's designed for a 5-bedroom because you have a 4-bedroom residence and another little cottage with 1 bedroom. And you've designed the infiltration bed, the absorption field, to be one that's highway rated because the pavement will be over that. We did a site visit today. I had a question about this kind of absorption field and allowance of trans-evaporation, which is part of this type of system, with a driveway over it, having a permeable surface. That had some concern to me. But it is well designed, and we did consider possibly moving it southward on the property so that the distances between this filtration system and the shoreline would be increased to some extent. So in any event, Rockhurst, to give a little bit of history too, we have applied for grant funding to put in a Rockhurst community system. The Rockhurst community system would include everybody getting a Fuji pre-treatment, advanced treatment, and the remaining water, I don't know if it's called gray or black water, it's fairly clear at that point in time after the Fuji treatment, gets pumped to a filtration bed that would be further inland. And eventually, maybe not all at once, we would have all the units on Rockhurst tied into this community system. But again, the good thing is that it would start with the Fuji pre-treatment, and then a grinding system would send it beyond that. So what's being proposed as a start on that. All right, well, I'm still trying to wrestle with the distances from the infiltration bed, even though the water is relatively clean. Now, am I understanding this right, Tom, that the water leaving the Fuji system will get exposed to ultraviolet before it goes to the infiltration bed?
I haven't included that, but it certainly can be.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
It can be incorporated into the inlet at the pump station.
Well, this
we're willing to do that.
Certainly is more challenging than what we usually get because it's a peninsula and it's 2 shorelines. We recently had some discomfort with the system being proposed in Cleverdale that was about 50 feet from the shoreline too, and they're coming back with a holding tank design because they saw the discomfort level with the town board. I'm not sure if the town board has that same discomfort level. This particular system has a pre-treatment, and the one in Cleverdale did not have any pre-treatment other than the pre-treated typical septic tank.
John, if I may.
It did? All right. I'm just going from memory, so evidently that's faulty. But in any event, so let me let's see what the board thinks and answer any questions.
John, I'd like to recuse myself, and I'm going to step out.
Okay.
Tom, you're going to check the distances with the relocated. What were those new distances?
62 each way.
Each way.
I can summarize this if you want me to briefly go through it. Yeah. Again, this is I'm Tom Hutchins Engineers, Queensbury, here on behalf of Lambert's Landing LLC, and Tricia Fear and Bob Lambert, members of the LLC, are also here. This is a unique parcel. It's a 0.9 acre parcel. It is the tip of Rockhurst. At its widest point, it is 145 feet shoreline to shoreline. So obviously, there's not a feasible way to get currently mandated or recommended separations. The applicants are here because not because there's a property transfer, not because there's a system failure. They're here just to upgrade the system and make it better. They realize that there are two antiquated systems on this property that should be replaced. And again, they are functioning, but they asked me to put together the best system and most appropriate system that we could come up with to serve this very unique property. And I know you folks have seen it. It's unique. It's magnificent, but it's a challenge from a wastewater standpoint. Again, as you said, we're proposing a FujiClean CEN7, which is a 700 gallon a day unit that meets both NSF 40 pre-treatment standard as well as NSF 245 nitrogen reduction standard. There would be 2 pump stations involved. If you look at the plan, there's building sewers coming out both ends of this property. One goes south and one goes north. And there's absorption fields on either side of the residence. One of them is some 20 feet from the lake, and that is receiving septic tank effluent, presently has been for years and years. The other one, which is the southerly discharge, also has a conventional septic tank absorption area, which is approximately 40 feet from the lake. What we're proposing, and with the discussion we had today, I can shift the field a little bit, and we would be 62 feet from either shoreline. And I tell you, in shifting that field as we discussed, the entire field will be under the driveway as opposed to a portion of it in what I had presented. So it makes a little difference there. We have used this type of field underneath driveways successfully, both in this town and in other towns, and I'm very confident in its capacity. Again, what we're going to have is an exponential improvement in the wastewater treatment that's going underground on this property in Rockhurst, and it's going to be essentially double the distance from Lake George with that much better treated effluent. So I guess with that, again, just to clarify, Mr. McNulty, when we relocated it, had 62 feet each way, each candidate. So
The other conversation that we had, Tom, was that the FujiClean, admittedly, is one of the best.
That's it.
And I tried to find the review sheet on it. They had a lot of do's and don'ts.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that you cannot throw in that toilet because it'll foul up the system. This is expecting to be just human waste and things that are associated with that. So if you're renting it and people don't abide by the rules and regulations, they could foul up the system. Tim was concerned that if it gets fouled up because somebody put something down the toilet, that this is going to have a problem treating. That if it shuts down, will the water system shut down? So that whatever needs to be identified as needs to be treated to manage the system will be taken care of before the water can go back on. So you have a situation like many in Lake George that are rented out and rented to renters. They don't realize, there are a lot of them from New York City, they have municipal systems, they may do things that would be harmful to this system and this setup. How can we prevent that?
Well, of course, with most, if not all of the aerobic units we do, there'll be an ongoing maintenance contract. They'll be maintained, inspected and maintained twice a year. There are there are safeguards within the controls of this unit that either for air failure, there's a small blower involved with this, which provides oxygen and provides return activated sludge for the process. If there's failure in the blower, there's a little pressure sensor on the blower. If there's failure there, that's an alarm condition. If there's a high hydraulic level, that's an alarm condition. So with an alarm condition, either of the alarms can they close a secondary contact, and if the board were to wish, that could be electrically connected to disable water supply. I'm not sure if I'd want to do that if it were my property, but we'll leave that up to the board. It could be done that way. Keep in mind, if there were an alarm condition, then that was the case, the water's off instantaneously.
And John, every day's a learning day. We require those type pumps or those shutoffs for holding tanks today. But in terms of the town regulations for this type of system, it's not required currently. So that might be something we want to take on as part of our master plan, I guess, to review whether or not. I'm not sure if we should hold this for this residence to a new standard at this point. But what when you say the alarm, because again, you've done a review, John, what does it do? Does it make noise? Does it turn a light on? Or does it just shut off?
It turns the light on. And it can make it can be connected to the power, it can notify somebody outside.
Okay.
In its basic form, it makes noise and it turns the light on.
Okay.
Audio and visual.
That's my point.
Yes.
So the owners or the renters, if they should be there, would know there's something going on, and hopefully the owner would have set up some type of manual for when the alarm goes off, do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
And Tim, when there's something like this that comes up, we could always make it a condition of the approval. It doesn't have to be part of the master plan or anything like that.
Okay, my point is that it's just, this is a new concept. I don't think.
Well, that's what I mean.
We have to have more
It
discussion.
doesn't mean we have to do it, but it's something you're considering. I guess if I understand this all correctly, you have a property with systems that are working, and if it wasn't for the fact that they want to do the right thing and improve what's there, we wouldn't be having this discussion. So what they're proposing is going to vastly improve the systems that are in place that are currently within whatever the parameters are of the lakeshore and so on, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
There's no mandate, there's no property transfer, there's no inspection, there's no failure, there's no violation. They're here because they want it to improve the system.
Okay.
It's something that's been bugging her for a number of years, as she told me, and they want to improve it. And it, as was mentioned earlier, it kind of goes along with the future plan if the future plan comes together. So it really makes sense.
Yeah, when you have plans like this that come along and people like this come along, you gotta kind of commend them for what they're trying to do, because they're trying to protect the lake and they're trying to do the right thing. So.
John, do we need to read this letter in, or is it just that we have a copy? Is that okay?
No, we have a letter from Steve Seaboyer, who favors what the Lamberts are proposing because it is designed to set them up to accept the community system should the community system come aboard. We won't know much about that until the end of December when the grant awards. If we get the grant award that we requested, that's a big step in the right direction to getting this community system in place. If you don't get grant money to help fund the capital costs, I think the residents of Rockhurst would not be able to afford the system unless it gets supplemented. So in any event, Steve Seaboyer, it says, I encourage the town board of health to become familiar with the type of treatment unit being proposed by the Lamberts, because I believe ETUs, which the Fuji Clean system is one of which, are the keys to ensuring lake and groundwater quality. And it goes on in support of this. So, and they included part of the Chazen design for Rockhurst, which shows and demonstrates that the Fuji system will be the first treatment coming out of the house. So, yeah, I found the cut sheet on Fuji season. But, let's have a public hearing and let's see what the public says.
Right.
Okay. So Tom will probably call you back up after the public hearing.
Should I go or wait to see if we get ready?
Now, show of hands, any member of the public wishes to speak to this variance application? Yes, there are people, so yes, come forward, please, and identify yourself for the record.
Hello, my name is Carl Wiener. I live at 114 Rockhurst Road, your immediate neighbor on the Warner Bay side. I watched you gentlemen walk through the property
Well, that was
earlier today.
We waved high.
You waved high, I waved back. I am fully in favor of this proposal. I'm their immediate neighbor, and judging by where this is moving, it's moving closer to my house. And again, I think it's a very good thing for the area. Everyone talks about holding tanks. They are not the panacea that everybody thinks they are. Holding tanks involve pump trucks that come in periodically that spew oil, spew fumes, noise, drive along the roads. You're getting all that out of here. All that ends up in the lake as well as whatever else ends up in the lake. So I am fully in favor of these Fuji type systems being used. And on a peninsula such as Rockhurst, it is very difficult to get the full 100 feet that you might have in other parts of the town for the water. And it's my understanding as well that the ground, at least on our end of Rockhurst, has a fairly good perk rate. I know neighbors have had tests done and systems put in the recent past, and they indicated that the soil was very good and allowed for adequate drainage, so there were no issues. Again, I fully support it and hope you guys do.
All right, thank you. Thanks. Anybody else from the public? Yes, sir. Please come forward and identify yourself for the record, and we listen to what you have to say.
Hi, I'm John Dickinson. Our family owns the property across from Mr. Wiener's. They live in 113 Rockhurst. I too, obviously this system comes really close to our property, and I too do support it. I think it's been such an improvement over what they do have for the security of the lake and the inflow. But I don't. It is a peninsula, and the affluent, the amount that the facility is used a couple months of the year, on a peninsula, the actual drainage from the treatment field is going to go two directions. It's not 100 feet, but it is got more space to disperse. So I would encourage the board members to support this.
Okay.
Thank you. Question, if I may. I asked when we were on the site just to confirm again because I'm learning. Your water source is the lake, so there's no concern about this effluent getting into a well or whatever because you bring the water in full out, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Pretty much everybody on Rockhurst is.
Yeah. Thanks.
Anybody else from the public wish to speak to this application? All right, Tom, would you please return to the table? So, how are we going to assure that the people that rent this place know that they can't be putting certain things into that toilet or down the sink, whatever goes to this treatment and waste field? How are we going to assure that they abide by the stricter standards than usual?
Well, if this, again, there is a, some call it a trash tank, a pre-treatment tank. If you're talking about solids or something going down in there, there is a pre-tank on this as part of the Fuji. How are we going to assure that? I mean, they can put up signage if there's going to be rentals.
Yeah, well, the owner may
want to comment.
The owner would like to comment, and you can stay there, Tom.
Oh, yeah.
One of the owners, I should say.
Okay. Tricia Freer, 117 Rockhurst Road. We've been renting the property for about 15 years, and every person that has rented, we have a very strict contract that they sign. And one of the things is we don't allow more than 10 people on the property. And if we find right now with the septic that we have, if it needs to be pumped out, it becomes part of their expense. We can incorporate in our contract all this information. We can, I seem to think people are more conscientious when you attach a money value to it, because then it becomes something that they care about. And we have signage all over the house that this is drinking water. What we are on is the septic. I mean, Lake George, LGA does a great job of giving little information cards. I can't be in the house all the time supervising it, but I can tell you that over the years we've really never had a problem with the septic, you know, and
Fuji.
You can just do as much as you educate people to do. And, you know, if they have a big problem, guess what? They won't come back next year.
Well, Fuji does have on their website do's and don'ts. Is that something that you can do, copy and paste and put in the bathroom at least?
Absolutely, absolutely. No, we want to, as Thomas, we wouldn't necessarily need to be here, but it's the right thing to be here, and we want to do the right things. And if that's part of the right thing to do, we will do it.
Okay.
I can't tell you there might not be a problem, but, you know, I can't guarantee that. But I can guarantee you that we will give it 100% of trying to educate our renters that we now have a new septic, and these are what has to happen. I'll be learning, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll all be learning.
But if there's a problem, you're going to take care of it. You're going to mitigate it. It's not going to be something that's going to stay in place for 2 months. It gets
taken care of. They call me and I come and have it taken care of. So, and I mean, there's talk of having a representative of Fuji even coming into the Queensbury area, so that's even better because we'll have somebody.
So moving it southward is going to mean necessitating one of those electric runs that goes to the cottage. And there's going to be additional expense for that, in case you. Is that right, Tom?
It's going to increase the likelihood that has to be relocated. We had a tracer up there and you couldn't exactly trace it with the equipment.
So you might run into it.
It's going to increase the likelihood that the power service has to be relocated. Yep.
Okay. Where are we? I mean, this is a complicated one. I mean, if you're not comfortable and you want an independent engineering review, we can do that. If you're comfortable with certain conditions that we throw on it, which way do you want to move?
I'm fine, John. I mean, you know,
all right. Tim?
Whenever I see an improvement, you know.
Agreed.
It is an improvement, but keep in mind the Marquards on 390 Cleverdale Road, we were not comfortable with the location of the filtration bed, and we asked them to do a holding tank, and that's what they're coming back with.
Yeah, but I don't think it was as engineered as completely as this is, where you've got two separate fields, affluent going in two separate directions. It's not all going into one spot.
Well, then we might want to give the Marquardt's engineer an opportunity to come back with another design.
I don't think they had the space, though, to do that.
Yeah, that was an issue up there too.
Yep.
All right, so what I'm hearing for conditions, that you're gonna move the septic system southward, that is going to be an absorption field that is 62 feet from each bank, and that you were asking for 38 feet of relief from the 100-foot required distance.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I think I heard is that you will put an ultraviolet system for the water leaving the Fuji clean, going to the filtration bed, so it's been sanitized as well. And Tim, your concern was that.
But I think they've discussed with the alarm system in place now that and with the instructions you'll put in, I'm sure if lights go on and it starts ringing bells, call me. So.
All right, so town council.
So do I understand correctly that instead of 57 feet and 59 feet, the distances would be 62 feet on each side and therefore 38 feet of relief on each side?
That's what I'm hearing.
Okay, and that's what they're suggesting, so that's easy enough to change in items 1 and 2 of the description of the variance sought, and also in items 1 and 2 of the resolved that would be granting the variances if it's approved. I'm not sure how best to accommodate the other.
Ultraviolet?
Oh, no, that's fine. That's not part of the proposal already?
According to the engineer, it's not. When I've seen so many plans, I did see it on one set of plans. I think that's the next one, Jim.
It's not incorporated into this, but it's a simple add-in on the inlet to the pump station. It'll be a Corb UV unit.
So the UV unit would be in the pump station, and then it goes to the effluent field, right?
Correct.
So that could be an item 4 on the resolve, ultraviolet treatment at inlet of pump station.
Is that right?
I think it would. I think it should be the ETU effluent shall be treated with ultraviolet disinfection. If we come up with a different orientation and they want to put it separate from the pump station in its own vessel, we may do that.
Okay.
Can you repeat the first thing you said? ETU unit what?
ETU effluent will receive UV treatment.
Oh, make it generic like that, okay. So that's not specifying the location.
No, but as long as what's going to the field has been treated.
I should say prior to discharge to the field. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Prior to discharge to the field. So, while town council's working on that, the absorption field is going to be paved over. You designed it appropriately for highway treatment. The only question I had was that the permeable surface above the absorption bed is going to be impermeable, and the element of evaporation will be less likely to occur here unless it comes out from the sides and so forth, which, with the plume, it will do some of that. Do you think that's going to be a problem?
There will be less transpiration influence here, but no, I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Okay. To reach your comfort level?
I'm good.
Town council, anything else?
No, 4 items in the resolve, the 3 that were already there, with the first 2 change from 57 feet and 59 feet to 62 feet each, and a 4th item, which would be effluent, will receive ultraviolet treatment prior to discharge to the field.
Okay. Moved by council person. I'll close the public hearing. Thank you, Karen. You're invaluable. Moved by Councilperson Medevere,
I'll
second by Councilperson Ferone. Roll call vote on this, please.
Councilperson Stroud,
Yes.
Medevere,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
McNulty.
Yes. Thank you, Board.
Good luck. Okay, that was a learning experience. Okay, so 2.4, please, Karen.
Resolution setting public hearing on sewage disposal variance application for Frank Steinbeck.
All right, this is setting the public hearing for November 15th. The applicant is asking for 3 variances. The well to be 88 feet from the leach field instead of the required 100-foot setback. Well to be 88 feet from lot number 226.19-1-13's leach field instead of the required 100-foot setback. Third variance and last variance, well to be 99 feet from lot number 226.19-1-10's leach field instead of the required 100-foot setback. And this is for property owned by Joseph Ritano and Frank Steinbach at 16 Sunset Lane. And again, this resolution is only to set the public hearing, the public hearing being November 15th here in this building at 7 p.m. Is there a resolution to set the public hearing or a motion to set the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All right, Councilman Ferone, seconded by Councilperson Freer. Roll call vote to set the public hearing, please, Karen.
Councilperson Medevere,
Yes.
Freer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
McNulty, Stroud.
Yes. All right, 2.5.
Resolution setting public hearing on sewage disposal variance application of John and Margaret Marker.
Okay, and this is at 390 Cloverdale Road. They're proposing holding tanks and would the applicant's agent please come forward? Identify yourself.
Yes, good evening. I'm Dennis McElroy with Environmental Design, the engineer for the markers.
Now, do you think you could put a system similar to what we just were exposed to at Rockhurst here?
Well, in lieu of what I heard about the Rockhurst system maybe being dependent in the future on Fuji Clean pre-treatment, that would only make sense to do that. I will tell you, though, that what we had proposed, Pure Assist sequential batch reactor, is a qualified ETU just as well, but if that's going to be the game,
well,
by that I mean if that's going to be the technology used, the Fuji Clean, then it would only make sense to do that.
We're not advocating one over the other. And we're not saying that one is better.
I understand that,
but the other thing that was a concern to the board is that the loss of parking area, which with a similar design filtration field, which I can give you copies of.
Yeah, I know quite well because I've done.
They'd be able to pave over and still retain their parking area. And that was one of the concerns was, parking is such a premium.
Correct.
In these peninsulas.
Yeah, well, certainly the owners would be interested in that potential, and if that absorption field, now I'm just thinking about this out loud, that if that field was then an infiltrator H20 loading system, as Tom had proposed for that site, as I had proposed for a Glen Lake property and got approved a year or so ago, right next door to another property that Tom had gotten approved with an infiltrator system, H20 loading. That's that is a possibility. So,
All right,
I don't know where that puts us.
All right, well, we'll set the public hearing. But I think this town board, considering what we just reviewed and what we've learned, would be open to an auxiliary to what you proposed before. At least I'm speaking for me, but let me see if the town board would be open. We're setting this for holding tanks, but would the town board be open to another design for the Marquards up in Cleverdale? Would you be open to that, or are you pretty much committed to the holding tank? Okay, go ahead, Harrison.
I'm sorry, I was focusing more on previous application, but is this the same one with 9 variances that we reviewed?
Yes, it had 9 variances, but essentially those were related to property. 6 of them were related to property line or foundation setbacks, which several of them, even if you change technologies or change the leach field, it's still going to be there'll still be a number of those.
And Dennis, you heard my comment earlier. I mean, I don't know. I don't think there's a lot of flexibility on this property in terms of where you could put the field. And I don't think there's enough property to put a second field in, if you wanted to split.
Right.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be room for a second field, but I'm not sure, and whether I misunderstood you before, on the past application, that it's still one field, correct?
Yeah.
So it didn't split the fields in that case. What it did, it expanded the separation from each side.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So, yes, if we set the public hearing for the holding tanks, and if this isn't going to happen this year necessarily, so there's some opportunity and the owners are interested in pursuing that. One clear difference, though, and I'm not sure how much it affects your decision making, is in our previous application, we had some discomfort or opposition from one of the neighbors. In this past application, you had 2 neighbors that were fully supportive.
Well, the other thing too is the last applicant, we got to move it another 10 feet away from the lake. And you can't do that with the Marquards.
No,
It's 50 feet and it's supposed to be 100, but there's no residents, very few residents on Lake George where you would meet the 100 feet. But I think, going forward, these difficult ones, and trying to be fair, that we should have one standard that, some kind of pretreatment that meets some kind of effluent discharge standards.
Right.
And not telling what system to get, but they would have to meet certain discharge standards.
Qualified ET.
We make these mandatory for every residence where the field is less than 100 feet from the lake.
Right.
Dennis, John, may I?
Yes.
So also, you didn't have any soil samples with your previous application, and I think that is kind of important, at least because there's such a variance in soil quantities. The other thing that I learned as we were walking through all this is that there's this phosphorus issue swirling around, because I talked to Chris Nowitzki about it after we had your last tabling, and I think when people put ETUs into their old leach fields, we're not getting the phosphorus protection that we need. So it has to be a full design, right? I mean, that's
Ours was.
okay.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think a lot of them on Dunham's Bay didn't go to the level of detail that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll set the public hearing and we'll see. Okay.
Okay. And in the interim, I'll talk with the owners and give them at least a heads up.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so to set the public hearing on the 390 Cloverdale Road residence, which is asking for holding tanks at this point in time, setting the public hearing for November 15th. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
All right, moved by Council, who said it first? Councilperson Brown, seconded by, who said it second? Matter roll call vote, please.
Councilperson Freer,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Penalty,
Yes.
Straugh,
Yes.
Mattavir.
Yes.
All right, set for the 15th. All right, well, that's it for the Queensbury Board of Health. I'll entertain a motion to move out of the Queensbury Board of Health, seeing there's no more need for it. Moved by Councilperson Mattavir, seconded by Councilperson Freer. All those in favor of moving out of the Queensbury Board of Health, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, it appears to be unanimous. We're out of the Queensbury Board of Health. Okay, next, we have 14. We're pulling 4.8, excuse me. We have 14 resolutions before us. I'll briefly explain each resolution. And if any member of the public wishes to speak to any of the resolutions, I will give them the opportunity to do so right after I describe the resolutions. Now, if there's another town topic that's not related to the resolutions that you would like to speak to the town to, I will give you that opportunity towards the end of the meeting. Excuse me, okay? I'll fumble through this one too. All right, so Resolution 4.1, please, Karen.
Resolution setting 2022 town board meeting schedule.
All right, we usually do this at our first meeting in January, but a lot of people are setting their schedules and wish that we would set this now. We were going to do it the last meeting. Who was it, Tony? Noticed that July wasn't on there. All right, so we missed that one. This one puts July in there. And so it's just setting the town board meeting. We usually meet the first and third Mondays of the month for regular meetings. Workshops will vary. We try and make them on Mondays in the afternoon, but they will vary. However, town board meetings will be set and established as such, like I said, first and third, with the exception of January. The organizational meeting will be January 3rd, and then there'll be 2 regular meetings in January on the 10th and 24th. February will be a variance from the 1st and 3rd in that we will be meeting on the 14th and 28th. June will vary in that we'll meet on the 13th and 27th. July will meet on the 11th and 25th. August, the 8th and 22nd, and September, the 12th and 26th.
John?
Yes.
So normally the organization meeting, at least in the past, was on January 1st, right? But we're going to just push that to the 3rd?
Yeah, if you look at the calendar, I think it makes more sense.
Okay. And it shall be a regular time, just 7 o'clock?
No, the time for the meeting will be at noon
Okay.
this year. It takes about an hour.
Yeah.
And then after that, I usually take you to the log jam for lunch, and they don't open till 2. So I didn't want to
But
wait.
they might not be open on that Monday.
Well, if you are, you're welcome to join us. Okay, so that's the plan there. Anything else?
No, thank you.
Okay. 4.2.
Resolution authorizing acceptance of $1,000 donation to Pineview Cemetery and Crematory.
All right, that's pretty self-explanatory. The person making the donation wishes to remain anonymous, and their $1,000 will be deeply appreciated. Right, Connie? All right. 4.3.
Resolution appointing Brian Williams to Town of Queensbury Cemetery Commission.
All right, Brian Williams. We've received a full accounting of him and confirmation of how good he's going to be from the cemetery superintendent, Connie Getter. And so that's that one, 4.4.
Resolution setting town official standard workday for retirement purposes.
All right, Chris Hunsinger at a credit of standard workday of 6 hours and credit of 2.03 days. 4.5,
Resolution authorizing advertisement of bids for sale or disposal of obsolete equipment.
all right. So this is obsolete, surplus, Ford yellow truck hood, international yellow truck hood, cam spray washer, pressure washer, snapper snow blower, bobcat snow blower attachment, Tenco plow number 1, Tenco plow number 2, Tenco plow number 3. Must be the highways cleaning up their yard. Huh? In any event, those items will be on gov deal shortly if this is approved by the town board tonight. 4.6,
Resolution setting public hearing on proposed rate adjustment for Greater Queensbury Consolidated Sanitary Sewer District.
okay. This is setting the public hearing, which will be November 15th. And the wastewater director has recommended that the town board amend the sewer rents such that all residential properties in the property code classifications between 210 and 283 and class 411 will be charged $5.50 per thousand per quarter, and all other property code classifications will consider non-residential will be charged $7 for every 1,000 gallons per quarter, commencing with usage as of January 1st, 2022, to be read in April 2022 and appearing quarterly in the May 2022 billings. And the water superintendent will be here to answer questions and concerns about this at the public hearing November 15th. 4.7.
Resolution reappointing Roy Eureka as member of Queensbury Zoning Board of Appeals.
You know, Roy Eureka, what a wonderful person. He has been great on the ZBA, Zoning Board of Appeals, and we're very glad that he's wished to be reappointed. I hope he realizes that his term will be up until December 31st, 2028. 2028. 4.8 we pulled because of there's another property adjacent to that property that also wishes to get rezoned from commercial intensive to commercial light industrial. 4.9.
Resolution authorizing hiring of Thomas Corb as full-time labor for Highway Department.
All right, the town's highway superintendent, Dave Dool, has advised us that there was a full vacancy for a labor position in the highway department, and that he posted availability for the position, reviewed resumes, did interviews, and he's recommending that the town board hire Thomas Corb as full-time labor. 4.10.
Resolution authorizing hiring of Zachary Enfield as full-time motor equipment operator for Highway Department.
Same thing, Dave Dool, the highway superintendent, has advised us that there is a vacancy in a full-time motor equipment operator, or what we call MEO, position in the highway department. He posted the availability, reviewed resumes, did his interviews, and recommends hiring Zachary Enfield. 4.11.
Resolution authorizing renewal of crime insurance contract with Travelers Casualty and Surety Company of America for 2022 through 2024.
All right, this is a routine renewal. It covers the ladies in the town clerk's office who handle money, and it's a kind of insurance protection for them. It's just a renewal. It is a total of about $130 more than it was the last time, and that's for over 3 years. So the 3-year term will be $11,862. Like I said, about $130 more than last year, or last time around. 4.12.
Resolution authorizing change to Gov portal as service provider relating to agreement with priority payment system.
All right, Reg Fee Payments is out of business. So we found a new one called Government Portal, and they will take our credit card charges in Park and Rec and the town clerk. There's 3% charge. They will split that charge. In other words, they will keep 3% and we will keep the original fee. And the total amount of the original fee will go to the town. The 3% extra that the person that wishes to use the credit card is going to have to pay 3% above whatever the costs are. I mean, if it's $100, they'll have to pay $103. $3 will go to our new company, Reg Fee Payments. The $100, which is their usual fee, will come back to us. It's just that the other company's getting out of the field. So we need to find somebody new. 413.
Resolution to amend 2021 town budget.
All right, the one that will draw the attention of my town board members is the one where they're moving health insurance to vehicle repairs. That's out of the highway department. They have extra money in health insurance and they need the money in vehicle repairs, so we're shoving 40,000 over there. The rest of it is just minor stuff. All right, 414.
Resolution approving audited bills warrant of November 2nd, 2021.
And with a run date of October 28th, 2021, and a payment date of November 2nd, 2021, totaling $1,288,914.44. And that's a 2-week period. People wonder why we need a fund balance like we do. It's because you need the cash flow. You've got to pay your bills and you have to have the money in the bank to pay them. The revenues don't always come in the beginning of the year. Matter of fact, they're done quarterly, some are done the following year. It's done differently. So you need a cash flow, you need a fund balance to be able to cover what this, town needs. 415 and the last resolution tonight.
A resolution authorizing establishment of Pineview Cemetery Columbarium Wall, Capital Project Fund number 242, and award a bid to Loisel Memorials, Inc.
All right, this has been a little pet project of Superintendent Geddert and her commission, Cemetery Commission. Do you wish to speak to this at all, or?
If you'd like, I would. It's necessary.
No, it's not necessary unless the town board has questions on this, but what it is, it's a new sign because the old sign is getting rather dilapidated. In the meantime, county has worked out a way for the new sign to be able to pay for itself by having a columbarium, okay, which will have niches in it that you can purchase and put yours or your relatives' ashes in, and there'll be a spot around there so those that want to pay homage to the folks that are before them, there'll be some seating arrangements and so forth around there, won't there?
Yes, and the town board will get a copy of the final plans that the commission approves for your approval.
Okay, so she put this out to bid. We only got one bid offer, and she thinks it's reasonable. It's from Loisel Memorials for an amount not to exceed, well, for the original project, $84,470. We put a 5% contingency in case there are things that we did not foresee, and there's always those in every construction project. So we put a 5% contingency, doesn't have to spend it, but we're allocating it. So the total amount of $88,694. Those are the 14 resolutions before us tonight. Is there any member of the public that wishes to speak to any of the 14 resolutions before us tonight? John?
Just to clear up a few things with the columbarium wall. I think that number one is it's 156 niches that are going to be placed in what is the back of the sign and 2 arms that go off it. There's 2
Johnny,
other.
would you put the microphone towards you?
There's 2 other parts of this, and one is electricity to that location, which we're looking at right now, and the other is, of course, the concrete, which we have the specs for and everything. It's a normal thing that we do with the mausoleums, is pouring the concrete for the columbariums. My crew's done it before. Dan from Loisel's has always been part of it because he does all the mausoleums in the cemetery. So that'll be an add-on to it. But in 2 things, when we originally started this project, the same people quoted this for over $100,000.
Oh.
So when it came down to the final quote, we got it for 84. I guess it's 85, close to 85. So we're hoping that the whole project's going to come in under the original amount of the wall itself. At that point, the commission, I think, will probably on the second Wednesday of the month write a check to the town for the full amount of the wall. They're using the perpetual care fund to pay for the betterment of the cemetery, and they're going to take on the concrete and electricity. So our one bid for electricity was above the professional rate, so that would have to go to bid, which surprised us a great deal. But we'll be looking at the specs of that, and that's technically to be added on at the end, anyways. We have no electricity there now, but we thought it was time that we lit our flags and the sign.
Yes.
But that's just an add-on to the project, but the commission is willing to take care of all that. So we'll be back again with this project, but this wall will be up by then. It's 3 years?
Yeah.
And it does, right now I think I have 56 niches already sold.
Oh.
And we have, it's moving along, and I think once it gets there and people see it, that's even going to draw more in. So it's a good project, and it's been a long time.
Yeah, it's a good project.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for elaborating.
Questions?
Any questions? Yeah. Okay, thank you, Connie. Anybody else wish to speak to any of the resolutions before the town board tonight? Seeing none, are there any resolutions before the town board tonight that the town board wishes to speak to or pull for roll call?
No.
Okay, then I'll entertain a motion to approve resolutions 4.1 to 4.7 and 4.9 to 4.15. Moved by Councilperson Medevere. Seconded by Councilperson Ferrone. Roll call vote on the resolutions, please, Karen.
Councilperson McNulty?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Medevere?
Yes.
Brewer?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, resolutions pass. Correspondence. Privilege of the floor. This is the opportunity for anybody who wishes to speak to the town board about any town topic. This is your opportunity to do so. Anybody wish to do so? Yes. Rich or Joan or both? Both. Okay, come on up. Come on down.
My name is Rich Zachary, and this is John Jenkins. We're here representing the Adirondack Cycling Advocates, formerly known as the Warren County Safe and Quality Bicycling Organization. We'd like to thank the board for granting us the occupancy tax at your last meeting. And I would like to thank you, John, for the eloquent job you did in presenting for us. We came with the intention of talking last time and didn't even need to. We'd also like to acknowledge the work that Harrison has been doing for us in conjunction with the Warren County DPW to put some signage on the bikeway that not only is the same signage, but also does a better job of directing people to the feeder canal and along the bikeway, so people who are from out of town know where they're going and where they're coming from and where they're at. John?
What I wanted to add too was, I'm sure that you're aware of it, but Steve Lovering is doing an absolutely super job of developing all the Gurney Lane and Gurney Lane South and all the different trails around. And it's amazing the popularity of biking right now and what an effect it's having on our community itself. And I just wanted to quote, I got his numbers from, I had his numbers from 2020 and from 2021. And the difference between 20 and 21, there have been 97,000 visits. That's total visits to all the different trails around that Queensbury has developed over the last years. It's a 42% increase, and that includes the mountain bike park at Gurney Lane. It's Gurney Lane South, Rush Pond Trail, Hudson Pond Trails, and now, of course, they have the trails that have been, your trail.
Well, the Rush Pine Trail and the Halfway Brook Trail.
The Halfway Brook Trail is now open, and so that has a lot of, they've had significant visits to that one too. So it's just that we work hard as our organization trying to support all these things, but it's really important that Queensbury supports this new wonderful sport that we have too in this town. John has worked really hard at all the connector trails, and now this next year those connector trails are going to go all the way down to the canal way, and it's just going to open up the whole area to this. We're going to be a major focal point for mountain bikers and road bikers to come too. The road bikers are doing a really, they're out on the roads all the time, as people know. But with the new recent paving that's happened in this area too, the roads are getting much safer, and that's an important thing too. But anyway, thank you for the support that you give, and we appreciate it.
Well, and thank you to the Adirondack Cycling Advocates. Yes. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Anybody else wish to speak to the town board about any town topic? All right. Seeing none, town board discussions. Jim, we'll start with you. Okay. I'm exhausted too. Did you get your lawn mowed?
Yes, good, thank you.
George?
Nothing much tonight either.
Okay. Harrison?
Well, COP26, the world leaders are trying to figure out how to deal with climate change, so I wish them the best. That continues to be an issue. I heard a report today that said climate disasters are 5 times more frequent since than they were in 1970, which is not a good sign. So the trend is in the wrong direction, and hopefully they'll make some progress in Scotland to bend that curve.
Okay, thanks, Harrison. Tony?
Nothing tonight, John.
Well, you guys want to get out of here, huh? So I better cut mine short then, huh? All right, well, couple quickies. Youth Center sent the town board a nice letter thanking you for the $12,000 donation to the Youth Center. It truly means so much to have your continued support. This will assist our staff in supporting our mission to advocate and provide for underprivileged children that we serve from 5th to 12th grades. Thank you. I truly appreciate your kindness and concern for the disadvantaged youngsters in our community. I thought it was big news. Brookfield moving part of their headquarters team out of the Boston area to Queensbury over on Big Bay Road, just over near where we're putting the new highway maintenance building. I thought that was great news.
Thank you.
Yeah, so as Rich and Joan had referred, the trail counts, the estimated trail counts, and I sent that to the town board. Gurney Lane, mountain bike trails, 25,000 people used it in 2021. Gurney Lane South, which is really the Rush Pine mountain bike trails as opposed to the multimodal trail, 10,000. The Rush Pine Trail, the multimodal, 30,000. Hudson Point Reserve Trails, 14,000, and the new Halfway Brook Trail, 18,000. So our trails are getting good use, and if you look at the license plates, we are pulling in tourists. They're coming from all over the Northeast and Pennsylvania and Ohio. All right, the other thing too is because I just thought that we didn't get invited to the show, kind of, is the CEC. Recently, we've received the Climate Smart Community Bronze certification in the by the New York State DEC. And we got a picture of some of the committee members that I'll have this posted on our website is what I'll do. And the press release. So I sent the press release out to the newspapers and the other media people, and so maybe we'll get the right kind of recognition this time. Went to the annual dinner at the Queensbury Hotel. Boy, Ed Moore and his people have done a nice job at the Queensbury Hotel. I mean, that has returned that to a first-class hotel. And so he deserves the credit, he and his folks. But anyhow, so we went to the Lake George Regional Chamber of Commerce and CBB annual dinner there. Mark Mulholland spoke, and it was a very nice event. And then we have so many great cultural things going on, but a lot of it depends on your support. The World Awareness Children's Museum put a night at the Speakeasy, which was held at the Park Theater, and that was Sunday, October 24th. And so we who attended dressed in the 1920s version, and I even brought my 1929 Ford down there, which turned out to be a big hit. And it's meant for people to take pictures with, and I don't mind them climbing around on it and things like that. So that's what they did, and they enjoyed it. But again, it was a great fundraiser for the World Awareness Children's Museum, and I just think that's a whole wonderful thing. There's a lot of good people involved in this, and I think it's worth mentioning. So that's one about that. What else do I have here? The Lake George Chamber also gave recognition to Ryan Moore, and I had mentioned, and my quote got mentioned, that I'm awed by Ryan's quick and thorough grasp of the complexities of municipal government. He's able to use his understandings and knowledge to effectively guide the county board to the best course of action. He's a gentleman and a gentleman. I, among others, who acknowledge and appreciate the leadership he brings to Warren County. So it was nice the Lake George Chamber recognized him. Then I also attended Bridging the Differences Climate Change Conference over to SUNY Adirondack. Very, very interesting. Stephen Donna, he organizes a lot of these. Dr. Stephen Donna for SUNY Plattsburgh and Branch Campus. They're always very interesting. So there was McGibbon, who talked to Climate Realities, and he did a very good job. Bill McGibbon. What else we got here? Oh, trash pickup. All right, bags must be up by October 31st. So wards 1 and 2, they're going to work on this week. Beginning on November 7th, they're going to work on Ward 4, and then November 14th, Ward 3. If it doesn't snow, we'll go back around, and people that were late, we can pick up, but we're not guaranteeing that. It depends on the weather. But this refers to your leaves and pine needles. They have to be put into recyclable bags. Don't leave them in the street. Put them in the bags near the street, adjacent to the street, but not in the street. And, skip that. Okay. So, we'll go around. Thank everybody. Thank the audience and public for attending. Security, Joel, DBA, Town Council, Mark Shatner, and Deputy Town Clerk Karen O'Brien, and Town Board. Thank you all. And so we got the budget done, and we got a lot more done tonight, and we're getting out of here before 9 o'clock. Monday Night Football's underway. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move. Second.
Moved by Councilperson Freer, seconded by Councilperson Medevere. All those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right.
The following program is underwritten by the generous support of Associates of Glens Falls and Loomis & Lipan Insurance. Since 1852, they have been assisting both businesses and individuals across the country secure the most comprehensive insurance products available. Associates of Glens Falls is proud to partner with Central Insurance Companies. Public affairs programming on Look TV is underwritten by the generous support of Pinnell's Restaurant, classic Italian-American food since 1922, and Stored Tech, technology solutions for computers, networks, and phone. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.
1922, Babe Ruth debuts with the Yankees. WGY signs on air. Exterminator wins the Saratoga Cup, and Pinnell's Restaurant opens its doors for the very first time. For 5 generations, Pinnell's has been preparing delicious Italian food, served in a comfortable, home-like setting where everyone is welcome. 90 years of authentic Italian recipes, 90 years of the freshest ingredients, and 90 years of the finest classic Italian dishes, all made daily by hand. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga dining tradition since 1922.
Most cybersecurity firms deal only with prevention, the systems that block hackers and viruses. Stored Tech knows the root cause is actually good people doing bad things. So we offer a security training program which includes certifying all participants to show they understand the basics.
Technology solutions for computers, networks, and phones. Stored Tech, your technology, our passion.